Hey, what's going on? I'm Hans Saleh. 433 Podcast episode 4 is back and running. How you guys doing? And hopefully the amount of football in the game in this week and especially has got you guys running. A lot of things happening here in Singapore. Humid weather here in the afternoon, but heavy cold thundery raining in the evening. Later on the show, Jules will be joining us to talk more on a huge Serie A Champions League quarterfinals match between Napoli and AC Milan. I will try to dig him out on Inter Milan's chances tomorrow night against Benfica. But first off, at the Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Real Madrid, which end up 2-0 for Real Madrid, which make that 4-0 in aggregate. Really, nothing surprises me really, and people pleasers from the world of football are going to say, and they're going to tell me that this is not the same Chelsea team from the Premier League because they attack Real Madrid, and at times during the game, Real Madrid really look like second best. Like, if you hear some of the from the first leg review matches from pages like some of the pundits from Sky, if you didn't watch the match, you would have think Chelsea wins that match. But here's the thing, guys. Here's what I have to say. Because those people probably didn't watch Real Madrid on a daily basis. Well, I did. I've been watching them since 12 years old. And I've been watching La Liga pretty much my whole entire life here in Singapore. Here's the thing. Chelsea look intense, yes, on attacking Real Madrid. It's because Real Madrid led them. This is not the best version of Real Madrid. Make no mistake about it. Alright, but they got players, veterans, international players, experienced players, managers, experienced coaches as well, who knows how to get the job done, especially in this competition, the Champions League. Something about this competition and Real Madrid that always go well, right? We can't deny that. So they having a go at Real Madrid means nothing if they didn't score. Not even one goal over 2 legs. How often can you say that about this Real Madrid team to keep a clean sheet? You know what I mean? Like, they didn't keep a clean sheet. They are not known for that. I guess that's the standard. Probably. Unless you're telling me this is the standard for this Chelsea team to attack and produce 0 goals. Anyways, now, back to reality. This Chelsea team from top to bottom needs to, how do I put this delicately, take a good look at themselves and figure out what's the plan for next season going forward. Maybe not next season, maybe, for the next 3 to 4 years. The good news, and probably the best thing that could have ever happened to them, is that they're out of all these stupid competitions that they're not supposed to be in with this kind of team and form. No more distractions from FA Cup, Carabao Cup, whatever, Charity Shield, whatever cup they have, Champions League, Europa League, Conference League, they are not in there anymore. And I would assume that they are going to avoid the drop, but it's time to look forward and set out maybe 2-year plan to be back in the Champions League. It's going to be roughly probably 3 to 4 years before they return back in the Champions League. They got a lot of things to sort out. It's going to be their third manager intact. They can't get it wrong this time. Will it be Luis Enrique? I don't know. Julian Nagelsmann. Probably there's recent reports that's probably Ancelotti. Should he not decide to go to Brazil? Then of course there is a massive cleanup with players with 7 or 8 years contract. Probably 9 for Enzo, who's been rewarded 1 more year. They're going to need to sell players too in order for them to avoid the financial fair play. Should they not pass this one, I believe it's strike 2. I might be wrong. I believe it's strike 2, and if it's strike 2 on financial fair play, there will be further punishments. Maybe 3 or 4 windows, transfer windows, that they will be suspended, so they are not allowed to buy players. And how things gonna pan out for them, So there are a lot of things to sort out, and really good luck to them. Nothing much to say about the performance tonight. A lot of chances, a lot of prevention from the Real Madrid defense as well. And again, just like the first leg, And probably the story of their season so far, they couldn't score any goals. I mean, that first goal from Real just goes to show how experienced this Real Madrid is. But basic defending, Chaloba, basic defending. The idea was to always stay on your feet and have your opponent at the front if you're unsure, and not just robust dive in like that, it's like as if this is a Sunday League football team. But he's young, he's energetic. When you are that young, everything needs to be quick. I get that, but that was a bad call to make. It wouldn't happen if it was Thiago Silva. It wouldn't happen. On another hand, for Real Madrid, it's pretty much business as usual, but I don't think they are even at a top gear, to be honest with you. At times during the game, these Real Madrid players were pedestrian. Chelsea tried to play the on the left back of Real Madrid on the right hand side and attacking Camavinga. So unfortunately for Chelsea, he just had one of his best games. Camavinga. Reece James can't even come close to the guy, and they tried to put Sterling there. Still no difference. Luka Modric and Toni Kroos, business as usual. And get this, Benzema had a quiet game. How often can we say that? I love Benzema, but the best players for me, of course, Rodrigo and Valverde. Maybe Vinicius Jr. You can put that in as well. He has really matured a lot, Vinicius Jr. And the reason he's having this much freedom in his game is mainly due to the fact that he's fearless now. He knows if anything happens to him on that left channel of the field, there's gonna be players to recover the first ball, or maybe to a tactical fall, and that's where Federico Valverde comes in, the engine room that runs this midfield. You know what? Kroos was in his palm, so as Modric, but if you take a look closely in this game, especially the counter pressing, especially on the first leg, there were times in the first leg at the Bernabeu where Chelsea can't even, get out of their own half on the left hand side position, which is disturbing, seeing that how much old this not say old experience this Real Madrid team is, but they are counter pressing and containing and the opposition. It all starts with Federico Valverde, and tonight was probably Valverde's best game as well. A proper central midfield display. You know what I mean? Oh, what a game he's had. But again, like I mentioned before, it's not even a surprise anymore. So there is it, Real Madrid through to the semi-finals, probably facing City or Bayern, and it's gonna be one heck of a match.
It's Napoli who get us underway. First leg of the UEFA Champions League quarter-final.
That progressed past Frankfurt in the last round. How do they cope without Osimhen?
It's Giroud. It's a magnificent save by Beret. Well, he'd done his homework, the goalkeeper. It's a run by Rafael Leao. And still he goes on. And still he goes on. It's Giroud. What a goal.
The Milanese knew that they're going to the semi-final.
Raspadori. Osimhen! 90 seconds remaining. 90 seconds.
He wants it.
And that is it. Milan are into the semi-finals of this season's UEFA.
Jules, is we are going back to the AC Milan yesteryear. They're gonna win the Champions League, right?
A little bit too soon to say, but it's very much more likely than anyone has ever anticipated or expected, considering how they started the season and how their Serie A campaign has gone so far. Many people would have never thought that Milan would have reached the semifinals, but here we are. their chances are their chances are quite more evident and present than we know anyone would have ever expected, really.
Right. I wanna talk to you some. I don't know. I'm not covering much on Italian Serie A, the Scudetto this season, but over the two legs, right? We know. By the way, if anybody who is just listening to us, AC Milan drew 1-1 with Napoli at the Diego Maradona Stadium, which accumulates to a 2-1 aggregate victory. So AC Milan are through to the semi-finals. But Jules, in your opinion, in over the two legs, where was the kicking point that put AC Milan to go through? Because when the draw was being made, I think Napoli was the hot favorites, seeing that how the Scudetto was going. Where do you think it fall off for Napoli first?
I think what really threw them off was going into the leg, losing 4-0 to Milan within the Serie A, within the domestic league, like shortly before the Champions League
Right.
finals kicked off. That's, I think, really it really decreased their confidence, and it gave Milan a little bit of hope, and made them feel like it was definitely possible to overcome Napoli, because what they did at the Diego Maradona Stadium was impeccable, thrashing them 4-0 in an environment where usually they've dominated and embarrassed their opponents, as we've seen, like Ajax, Liverpool in the group stage.
Right.
It so that really I think affected them mentally, and it put them in a position where we haven't really seen Napoli throughout the entire campaign, especially like within the Serie A. They have such a huge lead in comparison to the other teams within the standings. They have a comfortable lead, so they haven't really felt that much pressure in a while. So lately, like that period really put them in a difficult spot, and then having lost 1-0 at San Siro and so forth, the pressure has increased, and also fatigue throughout the entire season. Spalletti having played most of the same players and only doing like rotations like in game rather than starting a lineup. He has been going with the same starting 11 for the majority of the season. So like you could really see fatigue within the performances is starting to kick in within the Serie A and so forth. So I think going back to the question, I think what really just caught Napoli off guard and has potentially caused this downfall was the fact that they lost 4-0 at the Diego Maradona Stadium, entering this two-leg blockbuster.
Let's touch on Napoli first, and then we'll go to Milan later. How much does, because you spoke of the 4-0, we call it the curtain raiser just right before the Champions League. How much does Victor Osimhen's missing of these three games? He didn't play in the 4-0. He didn't play in the first leg. How much has that impact of this overall tie?
I think it affected them. I think it affected them quite a bit. Like the first game in particular, have Osimhen would have been there, I think maybe they would have gotten a goal. The first game, Napoli had so many chances before Milan broke the ice. Kvaratskhelia just wasn't as clinical as he should have, especially one chance in particular where that should have gone in across the second post. There was an open net. I mean, I think it hit off the defender, but that has to go in competitions like this where details matter the most. Chances like that come very rarely, and they have to be taken and capitalized, or else, as Milan did to them later on during the game, you will be punished for missing those opportunities. And Osimhen is a very important, significant player for Napoli. His presence is quite tremendous on the pitch. It doesn't go unnoticed. He's the top goal scorer within the league. Him and Kvaratskhelia together have been combining fairly well. Their playing styles suit one another, so it's it really has a major impact not having Osimhen fully 100%. Well, not having on the pitch and also not having him at his full 100% capacity on the pitch.
Oh, also, because the thing is, when I watch the game, it's kind of like, I think when Milan got the first goal, especially in the second leg earlier, it looks like Napoli's plan just went out the window. You know what I mean? They set up playing around Osimhen, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but when I watched them at Anfield, Anguissa was really, really tearing that place up, against Liverpool, and then when they bring back Liverpool to the Maradona Stadium, it's all one sided. The miss of Anguissa came, and then Osimhen really, really played a part in this Napoli side as a whole. I mean, you watch them probably more than I do. You watch them this season. Is that really the foundation of the team, Jules?
Yeah, especially the three in the midfield is what they usually start to play up. It's really the stabilizer within the team. The three in the midfield, absolutely. They all complement each other so well. Zielinski, Lobotka, and Anguissa. The three combined have been impeccable this season. Has really been the core of the team and one of the main reasons of their success this season within the Serie A.
So it's just if you say, as a Napoli fan, and I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, as a Napoli fan, it really is just bad luck of Napoli to be, losing all their important players at this stage of the season.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, but I mean, even without Anguissa, maybe not. I mean, Osimhen, like it's questionable, but I mean, nobody would have expected with everything going on this with Napoli being first with quite a comfortable lead,
Right.
facing Milan. Nobody would have expected Napoli to have exited so early within the competition. Because looking at
It
it
felt
like because
it
looking at all
felt
the
really like go on.
yeah. No, but it was just really unexpected because looking at all the other teams, you have Manchester City who are underperforming within the Premier League. They're still trying to cover ground with Arsenal, Madrid quite behind Barcelona. So if you're looking at it like the top dogs in the league aren't playing their best football this season. So those 1 year where Napoli could have possibly obtained the Champions League, it's this one in
Right.
particular, I
Right,
think.
right. I get what you mean. It'll be lovely to see maybe them and Man City in the final, and then we will have crowned a new European champion because both of them hasn't won a Champions League before.
Right. It would have
I
been
get
nice.
what you mean by that. All right. Very quickly, Jules. There has been reports going into this game that the fans in Diego Maradona, the ultras, they are fighting among each other, telling the fans not to cheer, mainly because of their president. I forget his name. Asking the president of Napoli to step down, and then how is that true? What I'm saying here, because there have been reports saying that the fans do not want to cheer, and it's not as hostile when Napoli play at home. Any thoughts on that, or am I just reading reports on papers here?
I mean, there's always going to be controversy with Laurentis. I mean,
Yeah, De Laurentiis. Yeah.
he's not the most likable guy in the media, the news, and so forth. But I think
Mm.
like what he's accomplished, not the brightest guy, and not the. I mean, sometimes the things he says aren't the brightest, and I don't necessarily agree with everything he says within the media.
Like,
But
like,
when
like, like for our viewers and listeners, so what are the things? Give us an example. Just what are the things for people who don't watch Syria? What are the things that led to this? That the president De Laurentiis is has been saying in the media.
Well, I mean, I do know like he like some of his comments towards the AFCON, like him not wanting to buy African players anymore, like
Right,
because of the
right.
AFCON competition, like that was
Yep.
one of them. So just to give an example, like comments like that, I think, gets football fans frustrated and so
Right,
forth.
right.
But I will
That,
say
wa-
though,
that was a step down, though. That was really a step down. I saw reports on that. He was pretty mad about the African Cup of Nations being played in January, right?
right, exactly.
Yeah, and then he doesn't want to buy any African players. That's not cool of him. But moving on to the AC Milan side, I'm smiling because it's always fun to have the Real Madrids there, the Barcelonas there, the AC Milan, the Bayern Munich. These are all traditional European teams, and it's been a while since we saw AC Milan. Uh, not even in the Champions League, but the semifinals. And let's point out to one player, especially in the first leg. It's funny, he he doesn't really get the praises he deserved, but actually in the first leg, Brahim Diaz, he's the guy who made that goal. Why is that? Why is that so? He's not getting all his praises. He looks really unstoppable.
Yeah, Brahim Diaz, since arriving from Milan, since arriving to Milan from Real Madrid,
Real Madrid, yeah.
Brahim Diaz has been very inconsistent, uh,
Hmm.
struggling to find the right position for him, and so forth, and struggling to find himself within this team in terms of positioning and etc. But it feels like at times, like this season, when he plays at his best, he's unstoppable. When he finds his sweet spot, there's no stopping him, and he's been a difference maker on multiple occasions for Milan this season, and it feels like right now he's starting to find consistency towards the end of the season. Even against Napoli, away from home in the Serie A, he was the difference maker. And then the first leg of the Champions League, again, he really
Yep.
showed his individual brilliance and really inspired a brilliant win. So I think we're starting to see the best of Brahim Diaz right now, and it might earn him a spot. It might earn him another year at Milan. Right now, I think they're trying to finalize. Milan is currently trying to decide whether or not they want to pursue the permanent transfer of Brahim Diaz. But if he can keep up if he keep going playing at this pace until the end of the season, I think very much so that Brahim Diaz will permanently be a Milan player.
I've got I've got DMs about people asking me about the chances of Milan and Napoli, and this is one that really caught on me, saying that, is it down to you know Pioli's experience more than Spalletti on this tie? Do you think so? Because the way Milan sets up tonight is just to hit Napoli where it hurts, and then which is the center of midfield. Is that gaping hole right there? No Kim, right, and no Anguissa. I think Lobotka is a good player. He's not as good as Anguissa, of course, but is that really the case though? Is it a battle of a tactical of both managers as well?
Well, I mean, I don't think the first game, the first leg, I think uh tactically, I think Spalletti was spot on. I think Spalletti was spot on. That was probably one of the best Napoli sides we've seen all season. They were really focused, and the midfield was really getting the best of Milan. It's just a lack of finishing per se was the main problem, especially Kvaratskhelia. Like again, like chances like that have to be put on target, or have to be put in the back of the net, or else like you will get punished, and that's what happened. Well, the second leg, though, I will say that Milan were really strong defensively, well structured. The team was really compact and played like a unit. We saw on multiple occasions Brahim Diaz running back, Davide Calabria doing well against Kvaratskhelia, like anticipating the play on several occasions. So I think defensively they were more solid, Milan, going into the second leg. But I mean, in terms of tactics of the overall within the overall two leg affair, I think like tactically, I can't really think of anything more Spalletti could have done the way he started the first leg at the Stadio San Siro. I really don't think so. I think it just um, unfortunately the players just couldn't be as clinical in the final third as they should have in that matter.
How much let's move on to the defense now. How impressed are you with the Milan back four tonight? Theo Hernandez, Calabria. Calabria is a center back. I don't know since when he played at right back. I haven't watched a lot of Serie A. Tomari, Kia. How much are you impressed by their performance tonight? That back four looks unstoppable tonight.
Yeah, no, lately this Milan's defense have been quite solid. Nice to see Kaya back at his best, at his peak. Tomori, I mean, as most of the time, always quite consistent. David Calabria, it was nice to see a fantastic performance from him tonight, this evening as well. Struggled a little bit of form, especially since Milan switched to a three in the back for several matches within the Serie A. But it's nice to see him play well, and Theo Hernandez, as always, a very vital piece within the Rossoneri back line. So it was really
Give me
solid.
goosebumps though when we talk about AC Milan and their defense. Bring back a lot of memories.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nostalgic.
it's been a long time since
Yeah,
we talk about AC Milan and defenders at the same sense. All right, let's move forward. So Milan are through to the semifinals, and I know we're not covering the Benfica Inter match.
right.
Most likely we are gonna get an exciting tie. As somebody who watches Serie A, this is gonna rock Italian Serie A football, isn't it? Rock it in a good way.
Right, right.
Should we get into an AC? And I think for me personally, as a kid, we showed a lot of Serie A over here in Singapore. When we were growing up. For those of you listening in, it's on Super Sports at the time. I think there was an iconic picture between the last time they met in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. There's an iconic picture of fans burning like fireworks in the stadium, and then Rui Costa and Materazzi just standing beside each other, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, just watching the entire cathedral of the San Siro. How much does I mean, with the possibility, no disrespect to any Benfica fans, should this happen, Inter and AC, the Milan derby, how much does this impact Italian football?
I think it would be huge for Italian football. I think it would be the first time since
Oh, three.
2017, I believe. Was it 2017 that Juventus played Real Madrid the second time?
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay. I thought you were going for the two Milan teams.
Well, the two Milan
Oh,
teams
you
as
mean
well.
you mean an Italian in the
Well, Italian
semifinals?
football
Yeah,
team as well in the semifinals and the final. It confirmed an Italian team in
mm.
the Champions League finals for the first time.
2015. 2015.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would be huge. It would be huge in that sense, but also for the two Milan clubs. This is the furthest they've gone in over a decade within the Champions League. Within the Champions League, so it would be
Mm.
brilliant to see it. The last time Inter made it to the semifinals was the year that they won it in 2010 against the Bayern
2010.
Munich. So, uh, again, it would just bring a lot of attention to the Serie A. Of course, it would bring more funds in a lot of the teams to have more funds accessible for next season. So possibly bringing in you know talents that could improve the team and bring in more eyes to the Serie A next season. So I think all in all, there's a lot of positives going
But
on, especially
Jules,
yeah.
But Jules, should this happen, right? Napoli fans will tell you you're full of nonsense because they are topping the league. So what's going on here?
No, but I mean, look, Napoli definitely deserved the league.
Put
The
you on the
league.
spot, am I?
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. Let's be honest. Napoli definitely deserve the league title. It's their
For sure,
year.
yeah.
They've been the most consistent. The most consistent. Spalletti has really he's been
It's
tactically
just a
unstoppable.
bad month for
Yeah,
Napoli. You know what I mean? A bad 3 weeks,
yeah,
right? And it couldn't happen to a better time to
yeah,
injure Osimhen. You know what though? Like I think I could agree with you. Without Osimhen, this team is a different team. You know, you can put in you. Some may argue with Anguissa and Kim. By the way, Kim to me, like I think there has been reports saying that he's he's the fastest defender in Serie A right now. So
yeah.
yeah, he's super quick, and with that kind of ability, I think it's a major loss, and it's just a bad month in the office. Should I say that? A bad month in the office for Napoli. You know what I mean? But I'm looking at the table right now, bar Napoli. So who going now? Now we're switching focus onto Serie A right now. We got Lazio at second with 61 points. They are probably going to finish second. They are probably in the Champions League. We got Mourinho's Roma with 56 points, AC Milan with 53, Inter with 51, and there's like 8 more games to go. I mean, 2 and 5th can switch off anytime now.
Yeah, right now it's really intriguing about the Serie
Really,
A.
really tight.
The race for the top four, the top four for sure, with Inter, Roma, and Milan all quite close to one another. It's going to be what's really questionable is whether or not Juventus will regain their 15-point penalty if there's an appeal process to go through. That's going to be something that could possibly change the whole dynamics of the season. Napoli, I mean, like I said, they rightfully deserve first place. Spalletti has been brilliant, a tactical mastermind throughout the entire season, and they've been the most consistent. Unfortunately, a rough patch, a rough 3 weeks throughout the last the final stages of the campaign. Perhaps has cost them the Champions League title, but I think that they should be very proud of clinching the Scudetto for the first time since they wanted it to Diego Maradona. And Lazio, it seemed I wouldn't be surprised if Lazio finished second place. I think they've been the second best team within the Serie A this season. Maurizio Sarri has really brought out his philosophy this season, and they've been a pleasure to watch. Really strong. Beat Juve, beat Milan, beat Juve, beat Inter, beat Roma. So they beat Napoli as well. So they really performed very well against a lot of the top dogs, the Serie A giants this season. So they rightfully deserve it.
So, Jules, may I ask, like, how's the fans reacting to this? Should this happen? I think I know the answer to this. If let's say one of the Milan teams wins the Champions League and Napoli wins the Scudetto, who will have the what would the Juventus fans be saying about this?
Well, I mean, I don't think the Juventus fans would be really happy. Juventus not winning any silverware and watching the other teams win trophies.
So many years of getting close
Yeah.
into the Champions League, and then it lands on the 2 Milan team.
Right. So it's not really something that Bianconeri fans would want to see. It's not with their history. Juventus are always a winning club. So for them to witness this and see other Serie A teams win titles, it would be frustrating for sure. Very irritating.
Yeah. Jules, very quickly before we end this and move on to our shootout. So what's the status quo for the Juventus 15 points deduction? Where is it going? Are we going to see them get back the 15 points, or what's the status like? Are they going to the sports of courts attribution and stuff like that?
Well, we do know that they are like appealing it. It's just a matter of time until the appeal process is evaluated and have gone through its full court. So like they are going to try to contest it, but only time will tell whether or not they'll actually regain their 15 points.
Gonna get it started. Gonna make them say
1-1 at the Alliance. That sees Man City move on to the semi-finals to face 14-time Real Madrid to set up a mouth-watering clash between the two teams. But tonight, it finishes 1-1 at the Alliance. Bayern Munich 1, Manchester City 1, and the aggregate score of 4-1. To review more on this game, we got Claire from EPL Erect. Hi, Claire.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Claire, like mentioned earlier, is it safe to say that the tie was decided in the first leg?
100%. I think definitely City knew what they had to do at home at first, and having a 3-0 gap to kind of relax a bit for the second leg was definitely important for them.
We can see Bayern going for it though. Again,
Yeah.
I feel they were the better team right about probably 13 to 15 minutes. Especially Leroy Sané with the chance, that 1v1 chance. You know what though? He got a
Yeah.
similar chance, the exact same chance against Hoffenheim last week too, and he did the exact same thing. He tried. I think he got caught in two minds. Like
Yeah.
whether he want to finish it or you want to lift it over the goalkeepers. These wingers these days, right? They want
hmm
to do things like that. What do you think? What do you think? From the Bayern aspect first, and then we move on to Man City. What do you think of the Bayern aspects first in this game?
Yeah, I thought that Bayern at first was definitely pressing well. However, I did think that at times they were trying to do too much. Like I felt that they were trying to pass back to forth, kind of like a bit too much. Like there was a couple of intricate passes that was going between either Goretzka or Koeman or Sane that I thought as they went forward on the counterattack, I feel like they could have just done a lot more simpler passes. I think it would have been a lot more effective. But I felt like they did have some good chances coming at first. But I feel like in the end, kind of Man City, I mean, at the back, they have a lot of talent at the back, so they kind of shored that up real quick. But yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of frustrating chances for sure for Bayern.
It's pretty weird too, because
Yeah.
if you look at it, maybe from the get go, I mean, bar from the get go from the start of the game, Man City wasn't. They were not even counter pressing Bayern, and you're right. There's sideways passing. There's a lot of frustration. Maybe
Yeah.
because Man City sit back. Is it safe to say? Is it good to say that because Man City sit back, there was a lot of frustration.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I feel like Man City's performance kind of, I mean, at first while Bayern was pressing was kind of similar to yesterday's game, Real Madrid versus Chelsea. I felt like Real Madrid kind of sat back at first and just let Chelsea just tap at them, and I think that was kind of the same thing that happened today as well. With Man City kind of just sat back, accepted some pressure, and then Man City, I guess, just couldn't go forward. Like, I don't think there was many passes to Choupo-Moting, even though he was the main striker. So yeah, it just kind of went side to side while they.
Oh, he was
pressed
playing.
forward. Yeah, literally, he was even playing. Yep.
Yeah, and it looks like a different player when he faced PSG tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
compared to tonight, yeah, I don't
Mhm.
even realize that he was playing. To be honest with you, because it's 3 a.m. over here, and he wasn't playing in my view.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
sorry, apologies to the Choupo-Moting fan club if you're watching this. Kingsley Coman, I want to touch on him as well. He was doing his bit. Probably Bayern's best player tonight. Not to
Yes.
take anything away from him, but again, I don't want to be one-sided here. But I think with Man City sitting back, playing three at the back, giving more chance and space in the wing.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think Koeman did very well, especially going up against Nathan Ake. I think Nathan Ake, of all the defenders, probably had the toughest time.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think Koeman was probably their best player, kind of getting the most out of his opponent, who was Nathan Ake.
Okay, and then and here's the thing where we were texting each other. This is the thing that I really frustrated the most. I was thinking about texting you about this, but it really got me so annoyed. 34th minute penalty, Upamecano with a handball. What was he supposed to do? Like, he did everything
Yeah.
right with that thing that where the defenders do these days, the handcuff
Yeah.
defending. He put his arms at the back, and Haaland missed that penalty. I mean, that's another discussion later on. But is that a penalty for you?
I feel like for me, like if this was like pre VAR, I 100% would not have given that. But I feel like
Yeah, of
nowadays
course. Yeah.
there's so much different like discrepancies and like so much uncertainty with like what's a handball and what isn't now that there is VAR, that I feel like nowadays I see why that was given a penalty. However, like I do think it was harsh for sure. But yeah, nowadays I feel like handball rules are so like up in the air with literally every league at this point. So I think they definitely need to shore that up somehow. But I don't think that was. I think it was a bit harsh as a penalty for sure.
The thing is, for me is I don't know. The commentaries were saying that you can't blame the referees because they were doing their job, because they were following the rule book.
Yeah.
But it's safe to say that referees sometimes, we can't adjust these rules saying ex professional players become referees. We can't do that, right? Because
Yeah.
there's agendas and stuff like that. But is it due to the fact that they don't know the game as a player? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely do think that could be definitely be an aspect. One podcast I do watch a lot is Ben Foster's podcast, and he has a lot of things to say when it comes to like goalkeepers and saving and like penalty saves and things like that. And I think for sure,
Right.
I feel like an ex player's insight is definitely a lot beneficial when it comes to like, in this case, the defender handball, like natural body movements. So I feel like definitely for sure there's an extra edge on that. Obviously, like a referee probably just sees his hand out. It touched
Right.
his hand. That was that. But to be fair, there's a lot more to that in terms of like what's going on, how's the shot coming, and things like that. That like a referee doesn't have that angle or perspective on. Yeah.
And it's it. Well, if you thought that was harsh, wait till the second penalty when we discuss that later on.
Oh
It's
yeah.
but yeah, but before we got to that, Claire, I just I just want your thoughts on this. Upamecano slipped. Is there any
Oh.
way he's got a two bad match against Man City? Here's the thing. I want to ask you, are you able to defend him, on these two games? Here's the thing, Claire. We are talking about a guy who play in an international final.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are talking about the modern center back. He's got agility, he
Yeah.
got speed, he's big size.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing Thomas Tuchel, is he done with Bayern here? Because Thomas Tuchel, he's not shy to drop players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. I I don't know how necessarily to word this, but I feel like in terms of Upamecano's performance tonight, it definitely was a bit rough. I feel like there's a lot of judgment calls that he missed in terms of even like the first half fouling Holland, which was the red card before the offsides, and then his slip for the Holland goal. I definitely feel like I guess like his judgment in terms of what to do, whether to tackle, hold back. I think that judgment call needs to be like a lot better. So like let's say for example, like obviously like the goal goes in, but let's say the goal goes in, but like he commits the tackle or like he commits. I feel like the in between, I feel like as much as he's played, maybe he should be a lot like more short up than it is now. And yeah, Tuchel for sure, as you said before, has very quick to drop players here and there. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next couple of games he wasn't there. But at the same time, I feel like he is a good player overall. That I feel like, and at this point, Bayern doesn't have anything else to work towards apart from the Bundesliga title. So I feel like for the most part, I feel like he should be playing after this. But
Yeah,
maybe
yeah. Earlier I was discussing with Julian about the Bundesliga title.
yeah,
Their title run is I think they only got RB Leipzig, in terms of threat, the threat to the Bundesliga title.
yeah,
They're 2 points ahead of Dortmund, but we get to that later on as well. Again, back to the match. Thomas Tuchel with a send off. I don't know about you, but I like Thomas Tuchel. I think the way he sets up his team and everything. Um, he's like he knows what he's doing. He's one of the best managers around these days. But he was pretty annoying tonight, isn't it? like everything pisses him off.
Yeah, I would
You
say
know,
from
like
the minute the game
yeah,
started to the minute the end, he was fuming and yelling at the ref. It was bound to happen. It just depending on what.
I have
Yeah,
that feeling as well. It's like what is he mad about? I think he was mad about some just maybe like a inch tackle from Bernardo Silva by the
yeah,
touchline. You know, I'm pretty sure he wasn't that noisy about the penalty he was given, that pathetic
yeah.
penalty against Akanji. I
hmm
mean, again, I don't want to spend too much time, us as podcasters and pundits and, football journalists to, to bash on referee so much, but
Yeah,
that's just so pathetic. And Bayern players wasn't even protesting as well. Only Sadio Mane, and even
yeah.
he protests in a way that well, that's that, he
hmm
wasn't sure as well, smiling
Yeah.
and yeah. Again, is it safe to say that you don't think it's a penalty as well?
Yeah, I didn't think that one was a penalty. I feel like the first one was a better kind of call than the second. I feel like the second
Yeah,
one was like,
we've seen it given the first one. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Look, more than the second. If I had to compare the two, I feel like the first one was more of a penalty than the second one. I feel like the second one was kind of, I guess, like, since it was like off the line and like literally where could have his hands gone at that point? You know what I mean? So I feel like
Mm,
definitely that was a harsh call. But again, with all these different handball rules, like, depending on what the rule book actually says, I don't know verbatim what it says, but depending on what the rule book says, like if the ball touches his hand in a kind of above,
right.
not natural, kind of like basically not at his sides. Basically, if his hands aren't at his sides and the ball touches his hand, I guess it's a
It's
penalty,
just
regardless of
so
the
it's just
situation.
so pathetic.
Yeah,
It's too pathetic for a football game. And again, we don't want to be. I would like to stress out. It's not. I know referees an easy job, but that is an easy
yeah,
call. You can't. I mean, I can't see it given. And again, we don't want to blame the referees. They are just following the rule book, but something needs to be done. That
hmm
rule book. I need to read that rule book. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, for
it's
sure. I do too.
I did read it, in a way. I think Harry Maguire or something like last season
Yeah,
against West Brom. It was a free kick. I read that, and I just don't agree with some of the stuff. It's just that whoever start this rule penalty rule book, they need to play football for sure.
hmm
They didn't play football, and it's
yeah,
just pretty annoying. If you look closely, the Akanji situation, his
hmm
hand is crossed the line as well.
yeah, yeah,
That's that's that's
yeah.
the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, but anyways, again, respect to referees. As football journalists and podcasters here, we respect them. And
Yeah.
yeah, we don't have a problem with you guys if you guys are listening in. Yeah, but Claire, again, I want to talk about Bayern before we move on to Man City.
Yeah.
Thomas Tuchel was hired as the Bayern manager, as to probably just to win this tie, right? Eh, you know,
Yeah.
but how much is this elimination? It's been two straight quarterfinals now. Sorry, excuse me, three, if I'm not mistaken. I know last season was Villarreal.
hmm
But anyways, how much is this down to Oliver Kahn, Hassan Salihamidzic, all those, I call them the corrupt group alongside Barcelona's Bartomeu and
hmm
Florentino Perez, the Glazers, the
Yeah.
corrupt group chat. But
Yeah.
how much
Fully.
is this down to them, Oliver Kahn and Hassan Salihamidzic? Because this decision to sack Nagelsmann, right?
Yeah.
It's theirs.
Yeah.
It's their decision,
hmm
and they want to hire Thomas Tuchel because they feel like, first of all, I think they they feel Thomas Tuchel is like the Joker to, the kryptonite to Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, reports are saying that if they didn't get him now, they're not gonna get him. How much is this
Oh.
down to Thomas Tuchel, or how much is this down to the Bayern hierarchies?
I feel like a good chunk of it is the Bayern hierarchy, only because I feel like at least I'm very much the type of person of like, if it's doing well, and I feel like at the time, I'm pretty sure I forgot the stat I read, but Nagelsmann only dropped like not that many points in the past how many games he like before he ended up getting sacked, but he didn't lose that many points before that point
He
he was
didn't.
sacked. Yeah,
Yep.
so I feel like if I was I feel like the management, obviously Nagelsmann and the whole management did not get along, and that was ended up being the reason why he got sacked. But I feel like if your team is doing well and your team is thriving, like I feel like you should just dead it, at least
I
until like
think
the end
I
of
think the
the
problem with
season.
Nagelsmann is substance over style. They
Yeah,
feel,
yeah,
they feel that Villarreal lost last season, and he wants to get rid of Lewandowski, which is like mind-boggling to me.
yeah,
And I don't know. I don't know how at this business side of things, I don't know how it was being run,
hmm,
but I don't know whether he requested to replace Lewandowski, a striker for the
yeah,
management
yeah,
to buy, or you can look it at another way, that maybe the management just had enough of him and he wants to get rid of Lewandowski.
yeah,
Because we're not gonna give you a striker, so you're just gonna survive with Chupamoting then.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. You are you on the Tuchel's cam, or are you on the
I
Bayern
like
management cam?
I like Thomas Tuchel. Don't get me wrong, but I just personally feel like regardless of whether they made the change of Tuchel or Nagelsmann, I still think they had a good chance of still losing to Man City. So I feel like maybe like I just feel like I think they should have kept Nagelsmann personally, even though they've like butted heads. Like I think you could have parted ways at the end of the season. I don't think personally that Thomas Tuchel would have came in and brought anything better, in my opinion. I feel like Thomas Tuchel
What
does
what
need
what if
time.
what if it's Thomas Tuchel was in charge from the start instead of,
Oh,
do you think the
oh,
result would go any better?
um, I don't think so. But also from the start's a good question. But actually, no, I don't think so. I feel like,
Mm.
I mean, maybe depending on like how his I guess like maybe we could see like the lineup he put out today wasn't too much different from the lineup he put the first time. But I feel like maybe if he came in at first, like you could have seen his style of play implemented more, and maybe that would have been a lot better. And those, I guess, his style of play could have been seen out throughout the
And I think
whole
and I think
year.
I think Manchester City, they're big players, so called, Erling Haaland, guys like Bernardo Silva, Kevin De
Yeah,
Bruyne, they picked up form at the business end of the season, because
yeah, yeah,
we seen them being dropped this season, and I think that's why I think the momentum has shifted to them, especially in the Premier League as well.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and they look like it's very weird with this Man City team. Like, their
Mm-hmm.
players will be on form the whole season, and then at the business end of the season, they just, for some reason, they manage to screw things up.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially in the Champions League, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to me, they look very scary, especially in the first
I
leg.
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to be honest with you, I'm pretty scared for Real Madrid as well.
I was about to say,
it
I
could
think just
be
yeah,
it could be one of those tie. It could
yeah.
be one
I
of
feel
those
like
tie that'll be settled by first leg, though.
that's very true. I feel like
Yeah.
with Real Madrid though, one thing I do like about Real Madrid is that like with their style of play, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Real Madrid could like start going like they could start their pressure going forward. But even if you think like the breakdown is done and like you don't think they'll go score, they'll score somehow. So I feel like Real
Yeah.
Madrid still has a shot. But we'll see how much Man City puts on the pressure, because I feel like if
And the
Man
thing
City
is,
puts on the pressure, it's over.
the thing is, I watch Spanish football all day, all night between the last 5 years, and to be
Mm,
honest with you, I've never seen, and I know it's pretty weird to say this, I've never
yeah.
seen a much poorer Real Madrid side this season.
Wow.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
They
they've
have
had it.
been
Yeah.
really. Yeah, there are times in La Liga, if
Hmm.
they play teams against Villarreal or Betis
Yeah.
or even Valencia. Never mind Barcelona. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not saying they're not strong. They are strong,
Yeah.
but because the thing is their team, there's a lot, there's some youngsters there, but
Mhm.
guys like Modric and Cruz and Benzema, they can only do so much. And I
Yeah.
think there are
Yeah.
times that this Real Madrid team, they switch off, and that's where
Mhm.
they get outplayed. It's very weird. I know it's very weird coming
Yeah.
from me because I've watched La Liga,
Mhm.
and Ronaldo's team wouldn't allow this to happen. Mourinho's
Yeah.
team also helped me God if this happened. Lost to Villarreal. I think Ricardo Carvalho. Sorry, not Ricardo Carvalho. Sergio Ramos, Pepe will be sent home. Really,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen, and it's very weird too. And and we are not even talking about the best Barcelona side. I think
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, and they got manhandled from the Spanish Copa del Rey. But anyways, going forward, let's move on to Man City right now. What do you think in overall of their two performance? I know it's hard for you as a Man United fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you
Um.
think of the blue side of your team over these two tie?
Yeah. I feel like definitely they're. I mean, it was very clear their first performance was way better than their second performance. As I feel like their second performance, at least today, I feel like they definitely just sat back, allowed pressure,
Mm.
went forward a couple times. But I mean, the one time they did go forward and had that a good counterattack was the Holland goal. But besides that, I feel like it was very much just like don't concede, and that was the main goal for the most
Let's play
part.
it safe. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely for the first game, I honestly was very shocked, especially the second half for Man City versus Bayern. That first game, I was very shocked that they like really put on the gas and they really tried. So I feel like if that second half performance versus Bayern in the first leg, I feel like if they turn up with that against Real Madrid, I feel like it could be very scary because right now
Who
they're
was
on fire in the Premier League as well.
who was your overall best player for Man City?
Ooh, best player or most important, or is it both?
Best player for Man City
Okay.
for
In
this
general,
game.
or
For this game.
for this game? Ooh. Mm, 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 mm. Holland did miss a penalty and then he scored, but I'd probably say either Bernardo Silva or kind of going off of what I was asking you before, whether you meant like most important. I feel like Rodri is one of the most important players for Man City. I feel like Man
Yeah,
City
but
without Rodri is crazy, but mm,
Rodri, he wasn't in the game. He even Jack Grealish
yeah,
wasn't in the game for the for the
yeah,
first half though. That was really poor.
yeah,
I just like,
yeah, for sure.
okay,
They sat back and didn't. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, but I would
To
say
me,
Rodri is
it's
one of the most important, but I think today he wasn't the best. But
yeah. To me, it didn't show much in terms of individually,
yeah,
but
I agree.
um, I've seen some off the ball reactions and body languages from Erling Haaland. Man, he is really, really obsessed. Like
Yeah.
there is times that even normal players will be like, I'll get a second chance for this, and he was really obsessed by scoring against Bayern.
Hmm.
Like I can tell.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the celebratory reaction from him from the penalty later on, but before we get to that, so it is the proceeding to the semifinals in the Champions League against Real Madrid. Switching gears now back to the Premier League with you, since you are already here. Is
Yeah.
this gonna be an effect? Because we've seen them drop points this season, and I know it's a very, very hard and difficult to see with this kind of quality and with this kind of mood Man City is playing for them to drop points. But I have to say on the record earlier, I spoke to Julian. I did say that Julian that Man City is gonna drop points.
Oh,
So
do you have?
yeah, where do you think this is going?
Oh, that's interesting because I honestly thought that they would carry this
Nobody
momentum.
is talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Man City dropping points. That's interesting because right now they are very much like on fire. So it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see like who they would drop points against because I think their next game is Sheffield United in the FA Cup, which
The FA
pretty
Cup, yeah.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they play Arsenal.
And
So
then
I
they
feel
play
like that
Arsenal.
game is going to be huge. That
Arsenal
game is going
have
to be massive.
the harder fixture, I should say.
I agree.
Um Wait, let me check.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think after the Arsenal game, Man City plays Fulham, which they should be able to beat. Yeah.
They got Arsenal, they got Sheffield Wednesday. Wait, hold on. I might have to edit this section here.
Yeah.
Wait, let me see. Arsenal, Man City. Oh, here we go. Man, this is a video. But yeah, oh, they got Fulham, and did they have any fixtures regarding the relegation teams?
Only Everton would, and Everton and Leeds. Everton actually after Man City, Arsenal, they play Fulham, West Ham, Leeds, Everton, and then after that, Chelsea and Brentford. Um, so I think regardless of whether they're relegating or not, I think Man City should be able to beat Leeds. I still think Man City should be able to beat Everton. Everton's tough though if
Everton
they're
and Leeds are
home.
so poor though.
Yeah, Everton would be tough if Everton's home, but I still think Man City should be able to beat Everton. And West Ham, sadly, is kind of still down there in the battling out. So I
Yeah,
think they should
yeah,
be able to beat West Ham as well. So yeah, I just don't see. I'd be very shocked if Man City dropped points. That's the thing. Like
I
I
can
would just
tell.
be very
Like
shocked. Yeah.
I can tell why people are saying that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying like if you're in the business end of the season, you wouldn't want to face these relegation teams because
Yeah, that's true.
no more. Yeah, yeah, it's no more about tactical or anymore. It's just crap
Yeah.
football. Take as much as you can get kind of
Mm-hmm.
football.
Yeah.
And besides that, Man City, they did have a big squad, but
Yeah.
we just um they still need to concentrate on the Champions League. They got a Premier League, and what if they go through to the FA Cup? That kind of thing. So I believe after next Wednesday, I mean, if Arsenal win that tie, that's it,
Wild.
right? I think we just wrap up the EPL title. But anyways, Claire, I again, um, a quick one here. You
Yeah.
think Man City is gonna do the treble?
I hope not, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they did. Because I feel like I know they're gonna beat Sheffield at the FA Cup, and then it's us versus Brighton. And I think if we lose to Brighton with Manchester United has all our injuries, if we lose to Brighton and Man City versus Brighton, then Man City's 100% winning the FA Cup. I don't
How
see Brighton. I
how
love
does
Brighton, and I
how
hope
do you
they win,
make
but
it about Man United right now?
yeah, because I do think
It's
that
it's
if
always a Man United fan doing that.
oh 100% we will make it about ourselves. But I feel like if at least for the FA Cup, I feel like unless they face Man United, who would give them some trouble, maybe if that, I think Man City will definitely have the better edge in that. And then Champions League, I feel like surely if Man City do beat Real Madrid, I'd be very shocked if they lose to Inter or AC. I'd be very shocked. And then with the Premier League, if I mean Arsenal's last two games have been two draws that they've given up when they were up 2-0. So Arsenal hopefully will get their act together by the time they face Man City. But if they don't and Man City beat them, I think Man City surely have the upper hand. So I think
Hey Claire,
it's possible, but I don't want it to
uh,
happen.
here's a question for you. Who would you rather see wins the Premier League title as a Man United fan? Arsenal, Man City.
Here's the thing. For personal, obviously, as a Man United fan, I think I personally would rather have Arsenal because of like the season they've had and they've grown from Arteta. However,
Right.
in terms of like fan perspective, Arsenal fans, at least the ones I know, get on my nerves. They get on my nerves.
It's the same.
Arsenal
It's the
fans
same as
really,
me and Cristiano Ronaldo fans. It really
yes,
bothered. Not say bothered. Like what?
yeah.
It's like Demos. And it. Their assessment. I just saw on Twitter like earlier. Like they were hyping Cristiano Ronaldo for throwing.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently, apparently it was a throw, and then the striker, his teammate, missed. Like, and then they were credited. Oh my god! If it wasn't for Ronaldo's throw-in,
Wow.
you know what? I don't want to piss them off.
Fair,
Hey,
fair.
okay, Claire, thank you so much for joining in. But before you go, I have
Of
another
course.
quick one for
Yeah.
you. I can't help but to ask this. Richard Keys from Bein Sports. I was watching the post match. So apparently he has a problem with Erling Haaland's penalty celebration when he
Mm,
got that first penalty with the one with the Upamecano's handball. Like
mm,
to me, it's like I don't have a problem with it. Like, but he was so adamant about how disgusting it was. Do you have a
yeah.
problem with that?
I don't have a problem with it. I feel like, especially with with Holland's connection to, like, obviously he was in Dortmund and they battled
Yeah,
Bayern all the time. And also Holland's
yeah,
young, so I feel like
yeah,
celebrate when you can. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
yeah. It's
I
so
didn't think of
pathetic.
anything
Yeah, I
from
don't.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there are times. I mean, I'm sorry if they if ever they were listening to my show. Guys like him, guys like Gary Neville at times. I know he's a Man United
Yeah.
legend, but he
Hmm.
was saying the other day if Arsenal finish second, it's a great season. I was like, what? Not until now. Of course, they would take it
Yeah.
from the start of the season, right? But to
Hmm.
fail at the very last minute,
It's
it's
sad.
yeah, it's sometimes I don't know. I don't know. There's some pundits here that really, I don't understand them at all. It's like,
Yep, I've
hey,
noticed
well, you
that.
know what, Claire and me would do a pretty good job than you
Oh yeah,
guys.
100%.
Anyways, Claire, thank you so much for joining in
Of course.
for this review of matches, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to invite you again. All right, for if ever there was an FA Cup final between Man United and Man City. Welcome back, Jules. Julian Faustini, of course, our Italian Serie A correspondent. All right, Jules, let's go. Are we ready?
Yeah, ready when you are.
Okay, I'll start. Okay, Jules, have Arsenal dropped their title chances after dropping West Ham United in a 2-2 draw? What do you think?
Oof. It's tough because as much as I want Arsenal to win, I hate to admit it, but I think they might have. They still have to play Manchester City with 4 point. They're 4 points ahead of Manchester City, I believe.
Yep.
Have to play City again. So it's tough, but I'm
After
side.
after the City game, I think it's gonna be next week, right? They gotta play. They gotta go to Newcastle United, right? And then they have Chelsea, and then they have Brighton, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah,
might be
a lot
wrong
of
on
tough
this,
games.
but yeah.
A lot of tough
So,
games.
so you think Man City is gonna win?
As much as I don't want to say, I think the recent draws, the recent games that they dropped points might cost them the title. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We'll see about that. I don't know. It's still too close to call. I think Man City with the Champions League distractions and everything. I have a feeling that they're gonna drop points too, and Arsenal are gonna drop points too. There's no way the two of them after
Yeah.
they meet, they're not gonna drop points. There's no way. Okay, let's move on to my next one. I'm gonna shoot you with another one, Jules.
All right.
Liverpool trash Leeds United 6-1. What do you think of the performance and the chances of top four? Are they still on it?
Well, I mean, I think it was a good performance, much needed for the fans after this disastrous season. Quite a roller coaster of a season. Uh, Very clinical. 6-1, having scored 6 goals against Leeds. Uh, I don't think they're gonna clinch top four.
Top
They're
four?
9 points away.
Mm.
And the other sides have just been far more consistent than them. So I don't think they're gonna reach the Champions League spot.
They've just been really, really bad, Jules. Like you know what I mean? Like it's the drop off is so, like, I can understand Milan from being Scudetto champion and then dropping to fourth a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
But
it's just far too big.
and then I mean, yeah, and they play against Leeds United. It just goes to shows that this is their level right now. With teams like Leeds United, you can do it. I think the Manchester United game was another one, and that just goes to shows that there are still good players in there, but unfortunately, this is their level this season.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Mm. Okay, Jules, your turn.
All right. So Mbappe becomes the all-time leading goal scorer for Paris Saint-Germain with a 3-1 victory over Lens. What are your thoughts?
That's right. Mbappe, top scorer all time for PSG. By the way, this is not a very good PSG side. They were really outplayed by Lens. I actually watched the match while I'm taking my Ramadan pre-dawn meal, and right until the red card, somewhere around in the 20th minute, and then they started opening up. I think after that it was the Messi, Mbappe. They run the show. I think Vitinha got a goal as well. His goal was a layoff by Nuno Mendes. So I think it's game set and point for League One PSG. But really, as much as how much I love Lionel Messi, but it's not just him. It's the whole entire PSG team. Maybe this PSG team is really really uncoachable. You know what I mean? You can bring all the past legends together at their prime. I don't think they can win anything besides League One. So yeah. Okay, as you know, we get back to our Champions League. A quick discussion, Jules, on the Chelsea Real Madrid second leg game earlier. What do you think?
I couldn't really catch the game. Was focused on the Napoli Milan game, but overall, not surprised. I think Real Madrid are quite a dominant force in Europe. Chelsea's not having the best season. They've been a bit all over the place, especially with their managers having rehired Frank Lampard to replace Graham Potter. It's just been a season to forget for Chelsea. So overall,
It's like a
yeah,
circus down there.
yeah, it's
Very very quickly on Chelsea, Jules. They're gonna. This has been a long season for them. Here's the
yeah.
thing: like they are about to encounter financial fair play as well. They got players to 8 to 9 years contract, which I can't even remember. I don't think that has ever been done before. I don't know. Probably Claudio Lopez in Lazio last time. I don't know, man. This has never been done before. 8 to 9 years contract. Like
Yeah.
I think they are in for. It's gonna be a long time since we're gonna see Chelsea back in the Champions League, though.
For sure.
Okay, your turn, Jules. Let's go.
All right. So Sadio Mane punches Leroy Sané, and now reports are saying that Sadio Mane's contract will be terminated in the summer. What are your thoughts?
That's right. That's right. So here's the thing. To me, it's like the reports are saying that there is a Senegalese media that have been saying that there was a racial slur that was being used. Hence this scuffle happened. I mean, I do not want to discuss politics in this podcast. That's that much, but unfortunately, these things happen, and sometimes it come out by people reporting false stuff or people actually being there. But here's the thing: when it first happened, Jules, I mean, you can tell me, right? I saw them when it first happened. When the report saying that, I saw them the next day in training videos on their social media, buy-in social media on BR Sports and all that. That they were seen smiling and hugging. I mean, if it really was a racial slur that was being used, right? I don't think we'll get this kind of reaction because you know what I mean. Like it's so sensitive
Yeah.
these days, and I believe German media have not received any reports on that as well. And for the Sadio Mane camp as well, there hasn't been any. What I mean. Like if there is really a racial slur was being used, right,
I think it was
by
mentioned.
Leroy Sané, yeah. So you would just come out and say it, because it's a sensitive thing. So to me, it's like I don't know about you, but to me, it's like it's just two grown men with the same goal in mind had an argument. Unfortunately, one of them resort to violence in a professional organization as big as Bayern Munich. Hence the repercussion is well deserved a fine and a 1 game suspension. And I wouldn't blame Bayern if reports are true now that they are looking to end his contract at Bayern. However, I would say in the aftermath of all this, I believe it's just two grown men fighting, because Leroy Sané has come out, and he's pleading to the Bayern hierarchy to don't punish Sadio Mane heavily. That I think that's really cool, and for those of you who's listening in that think that Jules and I are trying to take sides on this, we are not. We are just putting out facts. And here's another fact: Leroy Sané's dad is Senegalese, which is, you put two and two together, it just doesn't make sense that there is a racial slur being used. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What do you think of that?
No, I think the racial slur is just jumping to conclusions. Like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
based on everything, I highly doubt that's the case. I think it's just I think it was just in the moment after losing 3-0 to Manchester City, possibly squandering the opportunity to advance
Mm,
the semi-final. I think it was
right.
just out of frustration. Something happened on the field. Did Mane perhaps may have overreacted, depending on perhaps, and I'm sure he agrees that maybe he went a little bit over line
Yeah.
punching Leroy Sané.
And and
Unfortunately, we
again,
don't
for
have
those listening in,
a
yeah, for those listening, we are not condoning that. We are overlooking racist slur. It's just that, you know, being in the football industry, right? You and I, we both, if it really is, Sadio Mane should come out and say it. We can't just believe in one Senegalese media. You know, so yeah, yeah. I guess we'll close our subject on that.
yeah.
Okay. My next question to you, speaking of Bayern Munich, Jules, I'm gonna put you on the spot again. Who's your money on Bayern and Man City, and why is it Bayern?
I mean, it's hard not to go with Manchester City having a three goal lead on
Uh,
aggregate. It would take a lot for City to bottle this one and for Bayern Munich to come back. Is it entirely impossible? No, I think there is a slight chance that Bayern Munich could do it. They definitely have the talent to do it, but it's just highly unlikely. I really don't see how Manchester City could mess this one up. I believe they're home as well, if I'm not mistaken. Are they at the
well,
Etihad?
it's at the Bavarian Stadium, well,
Oh,
Alliance
okay,
Arena. Yeah,
okay.
Alliance
So
Stadium. Excuse me. It's gonna be
yeah,
at Germany. Yeah. Well, can you imagine if Bayern turn it around and Sane and
that
Mane
would
is
be
the one on the score
insane.
sheet? Oh my gosh! I believe Mane is he's one match suspension, right? So he can, he can play already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. More Champions League, Jules. Are
Okay.
we likely? Okay, we covered this, but just your thoughts on this. Are we likely gonna get an all Milan semi-finals? The first time the two Milans have met in the Champions League since '03.
I mean, I would love it. It would make me really happy as an Italian footballing fan. But looking at it from the perspective of tomorrow's game, I think Inter should be able to advance to the next round. Having a two-goal lead on aggregate at the playing at the San Siro tomorrow, there's no excuses. I think they should be able to hold this result, at least hold it off, even if it's a 0-0 draw. I think that they should be able to cross the finish line and get the job done to advance to the Final Four.
Okay. All right, your turn then.
All right. So Bundesliga now, so we'll switch it up from Serie A and Premier League / League 1. Dortmund scrapped a 3-3 draw against Stuttgart, a 10-man Stuttgart. What are your thoughts?
Oh my god, that was really really poor. I mean, like, you are 2 points behind. I think they played first and then Bayern played later on. I think, like, dude, that match is, and Stuttgart got a man sent off. Gio Reyna comes in. Gio Reyna scored. They thought that they already won 3-2, but I mean, just like Arsenal in some of the things these mini mistakes on the business end of the season, I don't. It's really difficult to see them winning the Bundesliga. But you know what though, for us football fans, it's so exciting. 2 points at this at this month for the Bundesliga, between the two of them, we finally got a title race in Bundesliga. You know what I mean? So I think it's still gonna be Bayern. But mistakes like this, Dortmund, it just can't happen. And especially seeing at how the Champions League is going, and there's not gonna be any distractions. I think Bayern are out of the German Cup as well. I think if you miss your chance to overtake Bayern and you don't do it, I think you're just giving Bayern the title. That's my opinion on it.
Right. I was gonna ask as my next question. 8 games remaining with Bayern 59 points, Dortmund with 57. Who are you going with? So I believe you're going with Bayern, right?
I'm going Bayern. I mean, I don't. I'm looking at those fixtures right now. Dortmund needs to go to Leverkusen as well. Xabi Alonso is there, and he's doing a pretty good job. But I can't see. I think Bayern will turn it up if they are out of the Champions League. And what I meant by turn it up, we are talking about 5 and 6 nil score lines here. Like, I will be surprised if this actually goes down to the wire. I'm already surprised by now that we have a title challenge, but it's Bayern for me. How about you?
Yeah, I like you said. I think a lot of people are shocked that it's a two. A lot of people are shocked that it's only
Title challenge.
they're separated by 2 points, especially given the Bayern Munich's exceptional talent on the pitch. But it's been an exciting Bundesliga season for sure. But
It
I like
is.
you,
It is.
I'm gonna go with Bayern Munich. I think they have the experience and them being out of quite a lot of competitions now gives them the full focus to get the job done within the league and defend their title for another year.
Mm. Yep, you're right. I think you're right. I think it's all Bayern's for the taking here. If he's theirs to lose. So yeah.
All right. And my last question for you is Barcelona and Real
Hmm.
Madrid war of words at the Nigeria incident. Barca president Juan Laporta is saying that there is no proof of evidence and Real Madrid are interfering in this matter because they know that they are highly favored by refs for so many years. What are your thoughts of the whole situation?
It's really embarrassing to be honest with you. I think firstly from the Nigeria case, it looks bad for Barcelona, paying refs, but unfortunately there was reports saying that it is not to favor matches. That one is soon to be found out. Laporta was just trying to put it out there that there is no evidence, and I think Barcelona is just annoyed that Real Madrid is lending a voice that has nothing to do with this. So, now Laporta has claimed that Real Madrid is favored for so many years by the ref. One of the things that he says during the press conference was, I think it was 2 days ago, the Spanish referees committee, all of them were linked to Real Madrid for so many years. And you know what? That will be a topic to discuss another day. But now the thing is, this thing has blown up into proportion. As now Real Madrid have responded saying that Spanish dictatorship General Franco is Barcelona's team. A lot of our young audience may not know this. Back in the 30s and the 40s, there's a Spanish civil war going on, and there's a dictatorship called General Franco who is favored by Real Madrid. It's pretty embarrassing that we need to go down this level, and the fact that even you and I are reporting this is just really, really shameful for both of them actually. I don't want to get into it that much, but there have been videos and photos and quotes that proves that actually General Franco is a Real Madrid fan. I think the execution of a one-time Barcelona president, Josep Marsal, who is also, I think there was it used to be called the Spanish Copa del Rey, but they call it a Generalissimo Franco or something, where Barcelona was leading 5-0, and then there's been reports saying, people, players that were there, General Franco actually came into the second leg. General Franco came into the Barcelona's locker room if they don't lose the game, and then their families will be killed, stuff like that. And then Barcelona did lose the game, which left to wonder as to why the drop off was very far. So I think You know what though, Jules? We don't need to get into this, but it's a fascinating history books for both of us as sports journalists, as football journalists. But one thing for sure that's coming out good of all this, we are never ever having the Super League discussion ever again, because we know the Super League was a brainchild for Juventus, Real Madrid, and Barcelona. So I don't think we are gonna have any Super League, ever again. All right, that was fun, Jules. That's the first edition of the 433 shootout. Jules, I just want to say thank you very much for dropping by, and as usual, seeing at how the Serie A teams are in Europe right now, we are gonna have more discussion. What are you off to after this?
After this, just gonna continue about my day, doing my stuff as always. Producing content within the Serie A, especially now with the Champions League going on. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to
Right.
put out there. So yeah.
Also, when are you gonna invite me to your show, dude? Like it's 2-0 right now.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely have to get you on the show. For those who
No
don't
problem,
know,
no problem, man.
myself and my co-host Lucas Vieira run the Calcio Talk podcast, where we talk
Right,
all things Serie A, Italian football, and so forth. So it's on
right.
Spotify. Calcio Talks. If you have interest, you feel free to check it out.
Of course, man. I've been checking it out. I've been checking out all of your contents. Not only you, the rest of our podcast members on Instagram and Spotify. I just listening to different people from different opinions on football. That's the
Absolutely, the
beauty
community.
of
Yeah,
football. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, all right, Jules. I don't want to keep you up. I know you got a lot of things going on. Thank you so much for dropping by. This has been
my pleasure.
for the first edition of 433 Shootout. And Jules, we keep in touch. Yeah.
Absolutely.